Hi, do you just launch an EC2 instance and it immediately got terminated after launch? And you are wondering what is the problem? Don't worry, I got you covered. I have the same issue. I have encountered the same issue too, and this is why I am creating this video. In this video, I will show you the likely cause for automatic termination of an EC2 instance after you launch it, either in your personal account or in your production account. Before I show you the problem, let us reproduce the challenge or the problem. Let us reproduce it. Then I will now show you how to solve the problem. Here, the first thing you want to do, go to your EC2 instance and spin up a server. So here, I'm going to spin up a server in my EC2 instance. On the dashboard, on my screen, you are seeing what you are seeing currently on my screen is an EC2 page. This is not a video to teach you how to spin up an EC2. I believe that before you have that issue, you must have spin up an EC2 before, and that is why you are having the issue. So I'm just going to quickly create a server. Why I'm not going to be explaining what each of the feeds I'm filling, what it means. All right, I'm giving the EC2, I'm giving it a name. Then every other thing will remain the same. I just want to select a key. If you don't have a key, you can select proceed without a key pair. That is fine. That is not the issue. So in my networking, if you have a default network and you have not messed it up, you can use the default network. But me, I've deleted the default subnet, so that's why I cannot use the default VPC. So I'm going to select another VPC, which is one I created, not the default. But for your own environment, default is fine for this demo. So that is the only thing I need to change. Every other thing remains the same. Right? I just need to click on launch. So immediately I finish launching this server, look at what is going to happen. Immediately you finish launching, the life cycle of an EC2 is supposed to go from launch to start. But let's go to the system. Let's go to the page and see. Immediately after launch, you can see that is pending. This is the server, is pending. Immediately after pending, it's supposed to go to run. But this server will go to terminate. This server is going to go to terminate immediately after launch. You can see it now. Immediately after pending, it goes to termination. This is not the default life cycle of an EC2 instance. After pending, it's supposed to go to running. But the reason why it is showing termination is because there is an issue with the instance. So for you to troubleshoot the issue, that is why I'm creating this video. For you to resolve the issue, that is why I'm creating this video. So the purpose or the cause for this termination is because when you spin up a server, and if you already have a default settings, maybe you in my last video, if you have not watched that video, I will link the description below, how to automatically encrypt an EBS volume during launch. If you create an EC2 instance, the EC2 instance will automatically create an EBS volume, which is going to be attached to the EC2 instance, and that is where it's going to store the boot system and some other file. So that EBS volume needs to be encrypted because the default settings, let me show you the default settings. If you go to the dashboard, and go to attributes, under this attribute here comes to the data protection and security. So under this data protection and security, you're going to see an EBS encryption. This EBS encryption has automatically been set to enabled by default. When you open your AWS account, if you do not come here, if you do not do any modification here, this enable is going to be showing disable. It will be disabled if you have not modified this by yourself. But I have modified this, and this is the best practice, that you should automatically encrypt all your EBS. So if you have an account, maybe the account either at work, in real life, or in your personal project, or as a lab environment, you should configure this to enabled so that whenever anybody creates an EBS, the EBS will be automatically encrypted. So this is what I have done in my account. But the reason why all the instances I'm creating are getting terminated immediately is because the key that I'm using for my automatic encryption, the key that I'm using for the automatic encryption has been disabled. If you have a key, if you are using a key for your automatic encryption or your default encryption, if the key has been disabled or it has been scheduled for termination, then that is why you're going to be having that issue. So if I go to my KMS key, let me show you the key. The key ends with 5947. So let's go to the KMS key and let's go and look at the key. So here, I'm going to see the key here, but before I show you the key, let me quickly explain the difference between this AWS managed key and the customer managed key. If you already spin up an AWS service or resources before, and if that service or resources automatically creates a key for you on the fly, then you're going to see the key under AWS managed key. But if you manually create a key for yourself, either through automation, infrastructure as code, or you created it through the console, the key will be under your customer managed key. So those are the difference between the two. And the the AWS managed key, you cannot delete it, but you can delete the key that you created by yourself. So the key that we are going to work with is under the customer managed key. And the key ends with 5947. This is the key. And if you can see, the key is already on pending for deletion. And that is why anytime I create an EC2 and the EC2 service wants to use this key to encrypt the EBS volume that comes with the EC2, because the key has already been scheduled for deletion, then EBS volume will, the EC2 will not be able to use that key to encrypt the EBS, and as a result, it's going to terminate the EC2 instance. So that is the reason why the EC2 instance I'm having in my account is automatically terminated. And if you encounter this issue too, this is the first place you should come and check and see whether the key that you are using for the automatic encryption has been scheduled for deletion or has been terminated or deleted. So here now, what I'm going to do to resolve the issue is just to enable this key back so that the EC2 instance service will be able to use this key to encrypt the EBS. So now, to enable this key, just select the key, go to key action, and cancel for deletion, cancel key for deletion. Now I'm going to enable it. So now this key is enabled now. So anytime I spin up a server and the server and the EC2 service want to encrypt the EBS volume that comes with the server, it will not have that issue again that the key is being scheduled for deletion or it's been disabled. So now it will be able to use that key to encrypt the EBS that comes with the EC2 instance. So let's go and create another EC2 instance and let's see whether the issue has been resolved. So I'm going to click on launch server. So the system is rolling. I'm just going to wait for it. Okay, it has opened. Now I'm going to call this one demo 2, and every other thing going to be the same thing we created earlier. I'm going to select a key pair. So the key does not matter. Then I'm going to select the my VPC. I'm using the lab VPC. That is fine. Then every other thing remains the same. So I'm going to launch an instance now. So once this instance finish launching, then it should go to run. It should go to running instead of the termination error that we are having initially. So now the EC2 is fully launched. So let's look at the stage. the instance state. Currently, the instance state is pending. Here is it. Currently, it is pending. Then after pending, you should go to running. Now you can see now that EC2 has gone from pending to running, unlike before that it was going from pending to termination. So this is how to solve this issue. If you encounter this issue either on your own personal environment or at work, I'm not saying that this is the only thing that can wrong, that can make your EC2 to automatically go into termination. There are other things that might happen for your EC2 to go on to automatic termination, and one of that is that if you have a script such as a lambda that is checking for a security configuration, and if it doesn't see that security configuration, it might automatically terminate that instance. And this is normally used in real life to check whether you are not having a misconfigured resources. So if that is not the case, then it's likely that this is what is wrong with your EC2 instance. So if you have this kind of issue, even in your own personal environment, then this is normally the first thing that you should come and check first. But in real life scenario, you might check this and see whether you have a key that has been disabled or the key that has been scheduled for deletion, and you are using that key as a automatic encryption, the key that you're going to be using for the automatic encryption. But if you do not set the default encryption, the default EBS encryption, then it's likely that something else is the issue. So this is the end of this video. Always make sure that after you finish the test, make sure that you terminate the EC2 instance so that you don't get charged, and you also return the key back to deletion if you don't need the key. I don't need the key, so I have to put the key back on schedule for deletion, because if you do not put the key for schedule for deletion, AWS will start charging you for the key. So I'm going to put it back on schedule for deletion so that they don't charge me for the key, and it should do the same thing. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and also press the notification bell. Thank you. God bless.